Hi everybody, Not You Not Me here with a review of the Suunto M3 Global Compass. First off, I do recommend this compass, but there are a few points that, or features that you need to take into consideration to work out whether this is the right compass for you. Now let's go. First off, this is in the orienteering style of compass, so if you're familiar with silver orienteering compasses, exactly the same thing. We've got a brace plate, we've got a rotating bezel, we've got things like a magnifying glass here, we have stencils here for use for map work, so circles for fixed positions, triangles for estimated positions. We've got degrees here marked on a nice luminous bezel here. We've got illumination points here and on the needle to help help with taking signings at night. And here we've got rulers and scales for map work. Do note that this comes in two different flavors, metric and imperial measurements. Obviously this one is metric, so I've got kilometers and centimeters on the ruler here. You need to make sure that you're buying the right measurements that you're going to be using. Has a clinometer. Now if you can see here, we've got a little arrow here. I won't try and do it on camera, it's extremely difficult, but basically when you set this up, you can use this to measure the angle, the slope of something, so maybe the slope of a hill. Perhaps you might want to calculate the height of a tree, and you need to know the angle for when you're standing to the top of the tree, etc. And a big feature that people will like is the magnetic declination adjustment. So in other words, you can adjust this compass for the magnetic declination in your area, and that means when you take a reading off your compass, you don't have to do any maths, you don't have to subtract or anything when you try and plot that bearing on your map, which a lot of people will like that feature. Okay, so let's first talk about the luminous dial. Nice big luminous dial. In fact, it's actually glowing a bit here. I don't know whether you can see it, maybe you can. Now when you hit this with a bright powerful torch, for a couple of minutes, this thing glows, and I think it's an awesome feature for this. I mean, you can easily read this in the dark. It really does glow. However, having said that, after 10 minutes, obviously that glow will be less. You'll be back to a more faint glow. It'll be harder to read. Maybe if you've got a small low power light or something, it would still be easy to read on there. Like I say, we've got magnetic declination adjustment. So if we flip the compass over, here we've actually got a screw, and if we use this tool that comes with it, it's basically just a little screwdriver. We use that screwdriver in this hole here, and we can adjust the readings on here. And then if we go this way, it's marked here, it says E for easterly declination, W for westerly declination. And we see here we've got this black marking right here. There's a little black mark, and we've got the red scale. So as you turn this one way or the other, that black mark will move along, and you'll be able to measure the amount that you've adjusted for. Okay, which also means it's quite easy for you to check. Great feature for those people who are struggling with the maths, when doing map work with compasses. Okay, now one of the things that you may or may not like, depending on how you're using this compass, is the fact that this has red markings on it. So if you're using this compass with photocopies or black and white printouts of maps, then this is really good because you get a really nice contrast on that map. If you're like me, if you do get a map, it's been photocopied, someone's drawn over it, and you'll have search areas on it. So that's quite a nice, it's quite nice, and in bad weather or low light or whatever, that just helps you, with any map work you have to do. Even on colour maps, it's still a nice contrast there. Obviously clashes a bit with the other red in there. I don't mind it, it's okay. However, the problem is going to be with night work. So if anyone has ever used colour maps with red LEDs, to preserve your night vision, then you'll know that any colours that are the same or close, so if we've got a red light and we've got red lines and red text, or something close, like here we've got some sort of almost purple writing on here, it almost disappears. If you would use a red light, and I have, with this compass, you have the same problem. It's very, very hard to read any of the markings on here that are in red on the base. So something to keep in mind if you're going to potentially use this with red light. If you use green light, no problems, because obviously we've got a green light, we've got red markings, they don't conflict. However, majority of people, if they do have some sort of lighting source that isn't white, it's going to be red. So typically on your head torch. Okay, another miss for me on this, especially with night work, is there is no large sighting mark on here. So if we have a look at, and here's my 25-year-old silver compass, I'll just turn this over. Okay, you'll see here we've got a large sighting mark on here, and it's a luminous one. On here we don't have that. We've got two red lines, which is okay during the day, but as the light starts to get, you know, lower and the rest, to have this on here actually helps a lot. This doesn't have it. And even if I look at my newer, and this is a expedition type model, this actually has a sighting prism in it, we've got the same thing here. Okay, so potentially that's a big miss for me, and it may be for a few other people as well. I'll also mention that this compass doesn't have any Roma scales on it. Now, you don't necessarily have to have Roma scales on it, but it is a nice thing to have. And for those of you who don't know, Roma scales are just a useful tool to help you with grid work on your maps. So if you are using a GPS with UTM coordinates, it's just another thing that helps you with trying to work out your map on this, your position on this grid system. Okay, so it does not have Roma scales. Perhaps you might use your own protractor. This is the one from Essie, which, by the way, I hate. I don't think it's very good at all. It's better than nothing, and it fits in your wallet. But you know, you would have to use something else if you wanted that sort of feature. It's not built in, which it does have, by the way. And my nice silver compass here, and here we've got the Roma scales here. You can see. So, okay, so pros for this compass. I like the red markings on here. I think they're a good contrast if you're using this during the day and you've got photocopies, whether you made them yourself, and I often make photocopies of maps myself when going out. It's great. The luminescence on it is excellent. Like I say, you hit this with a powerful torch, this thing just glows in the dark. No problems with reading these with these numbers on here. The problem is that, you know, you have to make sure you don't destroy your night vision shining a big powerful torch on your compass. Adjustable declination. This is going to be a huge feature for those people who really struggle with taking account for that. You know, in Australia and in the US, if you're on the west coast, you know, you have an easterly declination. If you go to the west coast, it turns into a westerly declination. So even in the same country, you're going to have to account for that. The fact that you can just set it and forget about it is a great feature for a lot of people. Okay, cons. Like I say, the red markings with low light conditions and using red lights to preserve your night vision, that just, it's, you know, these markings just literally disappear in front of your eyes. Obviously no problem with the silver, which is black. It is a big problem with this compass. It also has no large sighting mark on it. Again, I think it's a miss for night work. The fact that you know, we've got these red marks here. There's two of them. I don't really like position, but if we had a nice big mark here, that would definitely help me in low light or using a red light. Definitely not there. And another hit that features I think people would have appreciated was on there is Roma scales. I can understand why, not a lot of space, but you know, it's just easy. It's one less thing to carry around, especially if you're going to do map work. Okay, so in general, I think this is actually a good compass. I do recommend it. I think if you are at the level where you're using majority of these features, so you know you will use the magnetic declination adjustment, or like to have this study there, the clinometer, you know, this nice luminous dial, etc., etc. I think it's great value for money. However, there may be some people who are more advanced. Some of these features on here are missing, or it just doesn't really suit the use. And if you're just a really basic user of a compass, I think you'll probably find something maybe better value for money for you. But overall, I do like it. I think it's built well. It's got a good number of features. It does have a few cons going with it, but as long as you know where this compass excels and where it doesn't, I think it's a good buy. Hope you enjoyed the review, guys. Post any comments.